Hello, you worms. Welcome back to another spooky edition of Clown TV. Now, last year, I recorded the process of the making of my Halloween costume for Barbarella. You would have remembered that I had told myself that I would never make a video like this again, or just hinted that it would not be happening. And things have changed, because the call of the craft just beckons me. I just can't help it. I love making and I love editing, so I figured, why not give it another shot? But this time, so I don't lose my head in the process once again, I decided to try and make something that I hope will be easier, not only for me, but maybe for you as well. So if you'd like to, you can follow along and see if you could make this with me. Last year, I really wanted to be something that was a bit out of my comfort zone. A beautiful, sexy woman of the future. And to be honest, I think I did a pretty good job. I think I was looking pretty good, if I say so myself. But that was then. For 2024, I want to be something completely different from that. This year, I'm going to be a man. But not just any man. I'm going to be the Crow. The Crow is such a classic gothic film. It's cheesily poetic, romantic, and a true product of its time, affectionate. And aside from the simple yet effective costume design for Eric Draven, I chose to do this look because, I mean, he's a clown, right? Like he's a fucking sexy hot clown, and I want to be a sexy hot clown. The whole look also just screams Halloween. Like, it feels very dark, very spooky, which I've never done before, so I'm pretty excited. And as if brought upon us by fate itself, it so happens to be that a 2024 remake of the 1994 movie The Crow is actually being released in theaters this week. And it's starring FKA Twigs and Skarsgård. And by judging by the trailer, it looks like it's gonna be a real stinker. And if you know me, you know I love paying to watch bad movies in the theater. So I figured it'd be kind of fun if I actually go and watch this movie myself and just kind of let you guys know what I think of it later on in this video, throughout this video, who knows, but I thought it'd be kind of fun, so I look forward to that. Wink. Alright, I actually have to go to work now. Yeah, I have like 20 minutes to catch the bus, so see ya. So before doing anything, I'll have to see what exact pieces are needed for this costume. And it's all pretty simple stuff. All you need is a black long sleeve shirt, black leather pants, black ankle length boots, black leather trench coat, black duct tape, and some face paint. Lucky for me, I already have most of these pieces at home, and you might have some of these as well. Which is all according to the Keikaku, as I wanted a costume where I didn't have to go out and buy like 90% of the pieces. One less thing to worry about. And while the black shirt I already own is like fine, it's just a little too big, with the neck hole being very low. And if you just look at Eric's shirt, you'll see it's more tight fitted and has a much higher neck. This will simply not do. And I know this means spending just a little more money than intended, but I just can't live with being an Eric Draven with a loose and wide hole. Neck hole, I mean, you know. Anyways. Sorry, I have like the light of God behind me. Next week, I'm supposed to go to my stomach appointment so that my doctor can yell at me because I haven't gained any weight because I keep shitting it out. Nothing. I also would like to go to the dollar store to see if I could find any duct tape or any other things that I might need. The plan is to finish this costume by hopefully October 15th. Fingers crossed. We'll see how that goes, but yeah. I hope I can make this due date because starting this costume this late really puts me in a bit of a spin, as I have to really plan out when to do what. And as I film this, I also realize that I'm not only just taking on another costume making video again, but I'm also trying to work on a tutorial and an animation and just try to continue making art overall. And I realize that's a lot. That is a lot to put on just one guy's shoulders. And on top of that, I'm actually going through one of the worst burnouts of my life. So I'm really just gonna make sure I'm not such a try-hard this time and break my psyche when something's not perfect, or push myself on days when I really shouldn't. Breaks are encouraged this time. So for now, I'm gonna rest, I'm gonna watch some wrestling, and hope that CM Punk bleeds to death. See you then, worms.
This Halloween, party with your favorite monsters during Halloween Horror Nights.
After watching two wrestlers spank each other like bad little boys and ending the night by listening to a very young Roman Reigns attempt his first public speaking course, I felt reinvigorated. Something about a tall, dumb man that would just inspire you. She's beautiful. She sure is. But the time of dilly-dallying has ended, and it was time to actually commit to this project and start shopping. These glasses make me look stupid. With a very short-listed mind, I made my way to that glorious 99-cent store and went to buying. All while trying my best to avoid the siren call of unrelated gadgets, doodads, and other unnecessary purchases. So now that shirt trip is over, let's see if we successfully found all, if not most of these things on our list. You know, everyone needs like a plastic box. We're off to a great start. Got duct tape, black duct tape. They even had like electrical tape, which was pretty cool. I got a hair clip. Unrelated. My bra patches that I will be needing for the waistband and the armbands. I might need to get more, but we'll see how it looks with these. Bandana, unrelated, but related. I got this like thermal two-piece set. It's for men's, but it's the smallest size, so I'm hoping it'll fit. I will admit that buying a men's top with no indication of its size was a great risk, but it turned out to be a risk well made because the whole shirt actually fit pretty well. The neckline is perfect, but, well, let's just say things were still loose magoose and I just wasn't satisfied with that. And this imperfection left your clown hopeless, welling with tears. Why are things never easy? Why do so many tops fit me like a garbage bag? Why me? Woe is me. Just kidding, it was just my allergies. I don't know why they just activated in the most violent way they've never had before as I was filming. I was still sad about the loose fit though, but I do have a plan for that. I'm actually going to attempt to take in a shirt for the first time ever in my life. I still don't have a machine, so I will still be doing this by hand, and I'm just gonna hope that I'll do a decent job and that the shirt will go from being a little bumpy, a little frumpy to a little more well-fitted, like the movie. If it doesn't fit as tight, it's not a problem. It really isn't a problem. Don't worry that I'm crying. It's not because that the shirt isn't perfect. It's because of my allergies. But I think it's going to work out pretty well. I'm pretty excited. I can actually see it through, sort of. All I need to do today is just work on the arm cuffs and the waistband, or sometime this week, honestly. And draw a little jerk off and have fun. So, yeah. So with most of the items found, I can now start creating in my image. The first thing I'd like to do are the arm and waist pieces of Eric Draven's costume, which seem to just be duct tape wrapped around multiple times. I don't want to just wrap tape around myself just so I can eventually throw it all away after one use. I really want to see if I can turn these pieces into something that can be worn multiple times. So much like last year, I'll be using these reusable ShopRite bags as a base. And before doing anything, it's always important to take your measurements. Not like this though. This is the wrong way to do it. I feel like there's an easier way to do this, but... The idea for these cuffs is that I would just attach the little bra clippings on one side and the other to connect them. Very similar to how I made the belt in my Barbarella costume. Measuring tape. Now that I figured out how to properly take my measurements, mostly, I mapped out what shapes I needed to cut and very quickly moved on to the step of attaching the bra clippings because I really just wanted to get this part over with because I really hate sewing by hand. And I guess this part wasn't so bad. Thank you, thank you. I will literally be here all night. But I do wish I just took a little bit more time to realize that the cut of the cuffs were just a little too long, and I think the placement of the clippings were just really bad because it ended up looking like absolute caca. They don't look good. Then I realized it was not in fact the placement of the clippings, but the fact that I had no idea what I was doing or how to make what I wanted to make. But lucky for me, I actually found the exact solution to my problem on a cosplay site. God bless our cosplayers.
God bless our
cosplayers.
God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
So instead of trying to attempt whatever the fuck I was doing before, all I needed this time were just jump rings and a lace or string to do this kind of like corset attachment. And in that moment, I felt a chill in my wallet, worried about needing to spend more money again. But luckily, these bra clippings came with Fruit Loops. So I painstakingly removed the patches and sewed in the hoops while enjoying some classic horror and some crackers my mom gave me.
Thank you for that.
As I meticulously sewed in each Fruit Loop, I realized as I finished that I probably should have sewed them in flat instead, but they looked okay, I was finished, and I had a deadline. It's too late now, I'm not re-sewing that shit back. So now we're ready to finally move on to the waist piece, which I'm kind of looking forward to. Mainly because you can get away with sloppier work with the waistband because you can just hide all of that behind you. So I wasn't really worried about making it super perfect, but I thought it'd be really cool if I kind of cut a sort of a V shape in the front. I don't know if that actually looks good, but I think it looks pretty cool. I don't know. So once everything looks pretty decent, I basically just use all of the little bra clippings that I did not use for the cuffs, and I just lined them up to attach to each other. And I think this took a total of like an hour to attach, and the results came out pretty nice. As for the back of it, it looks weird in the back, but don't worry about that. We're gonna cover that up. Let's move on.
McDonald's has a monster of an idea. Happy Halloween certificate.
So today I figured I'd try and see if I could find a nearby vintage thrift shop that hopefully contains the genuine black leather jacket. I am so determined to find a genuine black leather jacket because I am just sick of vegan leather that just flakes right off in a couple of years. It's disgusting, I hate it, and it's a waste of money and time. So, but before I could do any of that, I had to see my gastrologist, as today was the day I get to figure out what is wrong with me. Which, by the way, let me tell you, that appointment went great because when I told the doctor all about my gas issues and how I get so many stomach cramps and keep shitting and farting and everything sucks, he told me that there's nothing they could do about that. I'm just fucked. I'm just royally fucked, I guess. Well, anyways, after doing my morning errands, it was past noon, so the nice, beautiful, brisk morning became a dreadful, awful, hot afternoon. The sun was really cooking my ass, but luckily I live in the Garden State, so there were plenty of trees to keep me shaded. Thank you for the shade, old man. So after the grueling 15-minute walk and looking at some shit on the ground, I made my way into the shop, determined to find the genuine black leather jacket. And while I did find a genuine black leather jacket, it was kind of ugly. And it was single-breasted, and as you know, Eric Draven wears a double-breasted jacket, so that just meant that I had to try again another day and scope out as many thrift stores that I possibly could to find any kind of leather jacket anywhere. I didn't realize how hard it was to find leather jackets at a thrift shop because so many of them had these fucking godforsaken faux leather that I fucking hate and don't even want to talk about. But thank God for my favorite local big thrift store, it did have jackets. They looked nice, but they just weren't the length that I wanted. All stopped just at my knees, some were a little too heavy, and one had mold under the foreskin. Ew! But it was finally time to admit defeat and just see if I could find this jacket secondhand online instead, using the money that I totally didn't spend when I was out shopping. Isn't this cute? Isn't this fashionable? What, was I not supposed to buy things at the thrift shop? Ah, fuck. I'm just too weak for this. But look how happy I am. Aw.
Unfortunately, no one would listen, and so the world would have to wait for the two great tastes that taste great together in Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Okay, today's the day. Today I'm going to start just taking in my shirt, and I did some research, and a lot of people suggested to just take a well-fitted shirt and to use that as like a base to trace over, and that's actually a really good idea. Way better than what I initially was gonna do, was just eyeball it. But I have a nice well-fitted rainbow shirt, and hopefully this will serve as a very good base, and hopefully I'll just do my best. I'll do my best. That's all I can do. With very little confidence, but a can-do attitude, I turned my shirt inside out, laid the fitted top over, and then I just started tracing around the shirt as best as I could. And once I finished that, I just pinned everything in place and started sewing, whatever. Let's get started. For this, I used what they call a backstitch. I know, brand new concept, but it's supposed to be more secure than your normal running stitch, which I agree with. The running stitch kind of blows, but running stitch, backstitch, whatever stitch, I once again found myself feeling like someone's grandma that was forced to make garments out of flour bags. I could barely make out where the fuck my thread was because the fabric was so dark. My hands were cramping and the sun was already going down and I still wasn't finished. But by this point, it was between me and Jesus.
To ask you for one thing.
Please don't let my video flop. So I finally completed taking in the shirt, and honestly, it looks pretty good. It might have been because my expectations were so low, but I'm very satisfied with the turnout. Then again, the fit is just not tight enough. I know this means having to sit down and sew everything again, but if I just take it in just a little bit, just to get rid of those like awkward bits on the chest, I think it'll be worth it. By the grace of God, the only thing I really needed to do was just take in 1 inch from each side because the arms were actually fine. They were perfect. Well, yeah, almost perfect. Something bad happened here. I don't know what. So I just remade my marks, no thanks to Neil because he loves to be a giant dickhead. Oh, come on, he's a Nepo baby. Anyways, I went back into Plato's sewing cave and blasted through this one. One movie later, and I was finished. And I gotta say, I'm really glad I chose to tweak this because this is a much better fit if you don't look at the arms too closely. But let's just say, nonetheless, I am very satisfied. I only wish I knew how sheer it is now before prancing around in this. Oh boy. Anyways, I think I'm just about ready to wrap this up. In tape, that is. For some reason, I thought I could start off this project with laying the corset flat instead of just having someone tape me as I wore it. But because I was way too embarrassed to ask my sister to tape for me, I just sucked in my tummy real tight and did it myself, even if it meant lowering my lung capacity and having my mom watch me in the corner, regretting putting me in the world. So the more tape I started to add, the more I started to cover up my very clumsy mistakes, I noticed that it looked closer and closer to the actual piece in the costume. So I just thought that was nice. In the end, it turned out not half bad. And I know it's kind of hard to see the vision with my girly tank top because it's kind of giving bar wench rather than vengeful spirit, but you'll see. This is not good for my fucking gastritis. Since making the waist piece was actually a pretty seamless and easy process, I figured that the arm cuffs would also be a pretty easy and seamless process, right?
Right? Wrong!
Well, like that one song by Kate Hovnovic, nothing comes easily. And these cuffs were no exception. Had I had some assistance, I think I would have had cuffs that I wouldn't mind reusing again, but that plan was now dead. Look at these things. Just forget everything I said about that, alright? And if I feel any more sour about it, I'm just gonna have to convince myself that this is how it's supposed to look. And you know, the point is that Eric Draven has come back from the dead, and he's just finding whatever scraps he can.
You don't gotta do tricks on it.
If you've seen my last video when I made a costume, you'll know that I have this tendency to go really hard on my projects, where I refuse to do or think about anything else until it's finished, and I become a husk of a person. God, I'm so fucking tired, man. And I'm sure this is some kind of disorder, but we can't get into that. So as a way to decompress, I took on my bestie's offer to take us to AEW's Grand Slam. And a Grand Slam it was, because we got to see Bryan Danielson, Big Bill, and even Jungle Boy. Yay! And so much more. And as I sat there with my fellow wrestling fans cheering for Darby Allin to be used as a fleshlight by Jon Moxley, relishing in the nonsense, violence, and overall homoerotic tendencies of the show, I felt like God was with me in that arena. But I also felt something else. I couldn't help but feel like I missed out on being a wrestler this year. And then I thought, as the glaring bluest of blue light seared into my eyeballs, isn't there a wrestler who also wears monochromatic face paint, a big leather jacket, and lurks in the darkness unbeknownst to his enemies? Why, yes, there is. It's Sting! Or better yet, it's Sting! The Crow and Sting are basically the same costume, except with just different face makeup and a different shirt. So this will be done in lickety-split. Sting went through a multitude of appearance changes as many wrestlers do, but I decided to go with Old Man Sting, since I feel like he has a much more unique aesthetic, as opposed to Young Sting, who was basically just the Crow if he wrestled. Also, there's just something about the receding hairline slick back. Because I was totally not gonna spend $24 to $30 on a fucking cheap Stinger shirt from AEW.com, I decided to take on the arduous task of stenciling and creating my own. And for this, I will be using nice thick poster paper from a poster I made for aforementioned Grand Slam. I know I can draw a scorpion if I put my time into it. I don't want to put my time into it, right? I don't want to learn how to draw a fucking beautiful scorpion, so I'm just gonna try and make my own cute version of it, and we'll see how that turns out. And there's a lot of different kinds of scorpions, but I prefer the skeletal scorpion of his most recent design. And since that's the version of Sting I want to be anyways, I figured it was a good choice, despite it being a lot more difficult to cut out, especially when you don't have an X-Acto knife, so you have to succumb to a kitchen knife. But at this point, I've accepted that I'm a glutton for punishment. So now that the stencil has been cut out while narrowly avoiding injuries somehow, all that there's left to do now is to just secure my stencil onto my shirt and project the design using bleach and water. The plan is to just spray on my Stinger with the bleach and water solution and hope to God that it all turns out pretty okay. I was a bit nervous about this part because the stencil wasn't really taped all the way down, like it just kept lifting, which could mean all the precious detail I spent time cutting out would be lost. I also read that you're supposed to lightly mist the design, and I kind of like just waterboarded the shit out of it instead. So I assumed that I royally fucked it, but I actually decided to just give it some time and wait a little bit. Why the fuck am I standing like that? Anyways, I eventually took off the stencil, and you could say I was pleasantly surprised.
Look at that. That's pretty cool.
And there you have it. That's all there is to it. I told you it was gonna be lickety-split. Now with both my Sting and my Crow costume being finished, it's time for one final step.
This 12-ounce bag of Whoppers, no chocolate, or a 10-ounce bag of Milk Duds chocolate-covered caramels, only $1.59 at Olive Verde.
Hello and welcome to my beautiful bathroom. Don't look at that water stain. Now, I'm actually going to make this very quick because the makeup for both Sting and the Crow are very, very simple. It's really just white and black face paint. And for the white face paint, I actually made a huge mistake of trusting the goopy gunk tube that is supposedly white face paint from Walgreens. It was just an absolute mess. It was sticky. It made my face itch. I might as well have been using cake frosting. I felt like Mrs. Doubtfire. Thankfully, I still had my Mehron face paint from a few years ago when I was dinky. And I know it's a little risky to use old grease paint or whatever, but it worked really well. What can I say? I truly feel like I am a clown at heart because there is just something about doing whiteface that just makes me so happy. Clap if you also like doing whiteface. So let's briefly walk you through how to get these looks. We're gonna start with Sting, and with Sting, you want to have about 100 layers of white face paint. You want that shit caked up. Then you're just gonna go back in with a more wetter black face paint and just draw on whatever design that suits you. There's so many Sting faces, but I went with Old Man Sting, again, of course, because I like Old Man Sting and I think he's hot, and it's really easy. It's just squiggles. Moving on. Now, the Crow is essentially the complete opposite of how you do your Sting makeup. You don't want too many layers. You actually want it to be a little patchy and you want some of your skin to show through. What I did was leave my sockets bare and I just used my skin tone foundation and then I went over that with the paint and then some black eyeshadow. And this is where you should unleash and embrace your inner clown like Piero and other vintage creepy clowns. It's just really fun. Now this is a more subtle detail, but I added a slight red lip to peek under just to match Eric Draven's because I think that looks really nice, very yummy, and it makes him feel more real and just slightly less costumey. So once the inner clown completely possesses you, you're finally ready to put on a wig and get started. But I personally like to adapt costumes to my natural hair. Maybe it has to do with my long-term like trauma of whatever. You don't even know about the hair trauma shit, whatever. Eric Draven has shoulder-length hair, so all I do is give my hair a little spritz. And with shrinkage, now I have shoulder-length hair. Pretty cool, right? So now, without further ado, it is time for the pièce de résistance. Oh my god, it's Sting! I can't believe it!
all the way from WWE, retiring in AEW, and I'm back from the dead in BMW, aka Big Meat Wrestling.
That's right, JR, and as we know, his ultimate nemesis, Penis Destroyer, set out an open challenge for his Big Meat Heavyweight Championship.
9 months, Excalibur. Can you believe it? Reminds me of when I had Danny. But now that Sting is back from Eternal Leaf, he has a special message for the Destroyer. Let's check it out.
Listen here, and you listen good. You know nothing of what I've been through. You ever had a 9-pound growth in the back of your neck grow up just to become a Hot Topic reject? Yeah, didn't think so. You know nothing of real pain, buddy, but this Sunday at SummerSlam, you absolutely will, because guess what? I'm taking that Big Meat Championship belt right off your waist, buddy. That's right. Penis Destroyer, get ready, because I'm coming for you, and I'm coming hard. It's showtime. Boy, am I beat. This year's sweet treat is Almond Joy. There were so many moments when making this costume and even editing where I was just thinking, why am I doing this? This isn't worth it. This video is gonna flop. And it's not until you really put everything together, you start running around in your costume, people compliment it, and you really feel like you're a character. And it's why I just can't stop making costumes every year. Even if it means losing a bit of my sanity, I think it's totally worth it. I am so elated at the results of these costumes. Like, even though Sting was a bit very last minute, I think he came out pretty good. I feel like this year, maybe it's because the weather actually feels like October for the first time since I was like a teenager, but I really feel the Halloween spirit. My soul is healed this year, and I gotta thank Eric Draven for it, and Sting. So thank you guys, and this was your very special spooky episode of Clown TV, and I'll see you in the next one. Boo! Haha, just kidding. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Bye. To tell you the truth, it's worth your time. I liked it. In fact, I think I loved it. Surprise, surprise, it's me, Girl Sting. I'm the Penis Destroyer that you Penis Destroyer. Penis Destroyer. Thank you. Surprise, surprise, guess what? I got an abort. Be not afraid. It's me. I know my headlights are on. They're always on. You ever had to carry a 10-pound growth in the back of your neck? Stop fucking around. Stop jerking off. See, when I say jerking off, this is what I mean. I don't mean actually like